Okay, sorry about that, folks. YouTube crashed. I just had a notification that said that YouTube crashed, so I apologize for that. Hope everybody be able to check out this live. I'll give everybody a few minutes to come back to the live. I apologize. Um, I said I was in the middle of a conversation, and all of a sudden YouTube crashed. Sent me a notification said that it crashed, and I apologize that that happened. Um, but we were talking about competition. We were talking about the NFC South. Thank you, Lavelle. Thank you so much. We were talking about the NFC South and competition, man. Like I wouldn't have it any other way. I wouldn't have it any other way that teams talk about each other. They bash one another. So if the Carolina Panthers podcast want to talk noise, if they want to talk noise, let them talk noise, man. If they want to talk about the Saints, let them talk about the Saints. So I mean, we do our fair share over here too. We talk about them pretty bad over here too. So ain't no problem with me. Uh, Real quick, man. I seen Cries. He donated $5, man. Thank you so much, Cries. I haven't seen him join back in, but Cries, thank you so much, man. And also, man, yeah, this guy is an incredible talent. He always sending me like different types of instruments and different type of instrumentals that he makes. Man, he creates his own type of music, man. So Cries is a really great guy, really great artist. So shouts out to Bobby Cries, man. Um, let me see. I completely forgot what I was gonna say. I know we was talking about the Panthers podcast. I know this whole thing is about Delvin Breaux. And if you're just joining, we were talking about Delvin Breaux. He had a podcast on Straight Up Saints podcast that's available. All you have to do if you have an iPhone, Apple Podcast, you can check it out. Straight Up Saints. Great interview, man. I think it maybe like 15 minutes. Delvin Breaux talked a little bit about why he was injured, what happened, the doctors that misdiagnosed him, and talked about his relationship with Sean Payton, during that time. And he talked about how he felt like Sean Payton didn't like him and they didn't care for him. So it's really good, man. Check it out. Straight Up Saints podcast. Check it out. You won't be disappointed. That was probably one of the best Saints interviews I've seen in a while. Because we all know the Saints interviews, and if you hear from a player, it's basically a lot of politically correct things. Nobody's going to say the wrong thing. Nobody really says anything that's out of pocket. Everybody kind of toes the line. So the interview with Delvin Breaux was pretty refreshing. I was also talking about how you have to be versatile at the linebacker position these days. You got to be versatile. You got to be able to put your hand on the ground, and you got to be able to cover. You got to be able to do that. Also, we talked about the Saints secondary, and how they need a little bit more depth, in my opinion. Cries, thank you so much, man. Thank you very much for your $5. I see you just joining us back. But the Saints do need depth at the position. They definitely do. If they don't if they don't get that, then they might have some problems down the line. I think the Saints just need to change it up just a tad bit. But real quick, man, I'm gonna once again. I don't know if people joined late, but I'm gonna read a little bit of some of the conversation that Delvin Breaux had on Straight Up Saints. Okay, and he talked about, during this time when he was injured. He said, it was a tough time for me and my family. He said when he was misdiagnosed. Sean Payton and him were not on good terms. Sean Payton treated him with zero respect. And Delvin Breaux says this, quote, when I'm telling you this, man, something is wrong with my leg. And he's like, you're going to practice. The doctor says it comes to a point. I lost my place. And he like, you are going to practice, and the doctor says it was this and that, and it comes to a point, and time you want to address the situation in private, or you're going to sit up here and keep humiliating me in front of my teammates. So it seemed like to me, Delvin Breaux was like, okay, every time he around his teammates, every time somebody talk about him, I mean, anytime Sean Payton talk about it, it's never in private. It's always in front of, his teammates and stuff like that. And we know that football is about, being macho and being tough and stuff like that. So questioning a man's injury in front of the team, like that's a big no-no, man. I feel like if Sean Payton did that, he absolutely wrong for that. Delvin Breaux continued. He said he felt less than a man walking through the facilities. Quote, because I didn't want to see him. We had practice in Metairie, and I did not want to leave my room sometimes because I did not want to see Coach, he's talking Sean Payton, because I already knew the situation we were in. He was always going to tell me something the way he looked at me, and he always looked disgusted. That is coming from Delvin Breaux, man. So seems to me that it was a very tough relationship between him and Sean Payton. It seemed like to me that Delvin Breaux never really got an apology from Sean Payton for, calling him out and embarrassing him in front of the team during that time. But I will say this, at the same time, Delvin Breaux was injury prone during this time. The fact that he rarely was on the field, he only had like one full season, and that was back in 2015 when the Saints first signed him. It just seemed like to me that the writing was on the wall, that Sean Payton was just kind of tired of him with these injuries, and the best ability is availability. I mean, it's just what it is. If you're not available, coaches don't have time for that. I mean, their job is on the line as well. DLP 2600 says Payton is a hard ass coach, but that's how he is. I mean, that's the way he roll, man. I mean, he comes from the Bill Parcells school. Bill Parcells is one of the toughest coaches that the NFL has ever seen. It was about being tough with him, and he's a guy that's a no nonsense type coach. And when you're learning under a guy like Bill Parcells, of course you're going to develop some of his ways. And Sean Payton just don't have no time for the bull, And Delvin Breaux, like I say, he had a really good season back in 2015. But let's not pretend like his production didn't diminish the following year. And 2017 he didn't play at all. So the way I look at it, I feel like Sean Payton was justified, to move in a different direction. I know that sucks. I know that's cold-hearted, but in reality, that's just the way football is, man. Don't have no time to be holding nobody's hand and collaring them and all that kind of stuff right there, man. These people work year by year, game by game. So if Sean Payton goes out there be stinking it up as a coach, trust and believe they're going to end up getting another one. So he got to do what's best for him as well as the New Orleans Saints organization. Whether it was a misdiagnosis or not, dude was just not available. One season isn't enough. Trevor, that's absolutely right. Like I said at the beginning of the previous video before we were cut off, Delvin Breaux only had one good season, and I just don't understand how people around here always in my inbox always want me to talk about what I think about Delvin Breaux coming back. Delvin Breaux was not that good, folks. He was not that good, okay? I get it. LSU. We love LSU. We love the Tigers. We wish we can have an all LSU Tiger Saints team. But it does not work like that. That is not how the world works, okay? Delvin Breaux was okay. He was manageable. He was serviceable. He was all right. But to say that he was up there like when he left, Darrelle Revis left, or when he left, Deion Sanders left, or when he left, it was like, Patrick Peterson was gone. Man, please. Dude only had one good season. And to be honest with you, I think the question that somebody had, who would I rather have, Eli Apple or Delvin Breaux? I'm going with Eli Apple. I'd rather have Eli Apple than Delvin Breaux. That's a fact. At least I know Eli Apple going to play most of the time, He ain't going to be missing a whole bunch of games. I mean, last year, that was probably the most games that he missed, and since he came into the league. So I'd take him over Delvin Breaux. He was Eli Apple before Eli Apple, more penalties than he was worth. Trevor, he was worse than Eli Apple. I'm just saying. I mean, he was worse than him. I mean, I'm going to take the time out right now to pull up Eli Apple's Pro Football Focus. Okay, now we know that Delvin Breaux had a 75 in 2015, 58 in 2016. So we're gonna pull up right now. What I'm doing, I'm pulling up Eli Apple's Pro Football Focus. Okay, so in 2019, Eli Apple had a 63.8 overall. Okay, in 2016, what did we say that Delvin Breaux had? A 58. Okay, in 2018, Eli Apple had a 62. Okay, still better than Delvin Breaux. 2017, he had a 64. Still better than Delvin Breaux. 2016, I mean, so the way I look at it, he was better. He was better than Delvin Breaux. That's what I'm seeing. That is what I'm seeing. Okay, so they want him back because he from LSU and New Orleans. Yep, because he went to McDonald 35, and the fact that he went to LSU. Cool story on Bro, but he simply wasn't good enough at the elite level. He stayed injured. Yep. I mean, out there in Canada, I think he like the Rail Reavers out there. But in the NFL, I mean, you basically, just a fish in a big pond. You know what I'm saying? A guppy out here in these streets. Okay, I mean, look, and I don't want people to think that I just dislike the guy. Like I said, I love his story, but man, look, we can't be around here, just around here sidestepping, man. I'm not just gonna give it to you, halfway, man. I'm gonna tell you what it is. The fact is, dude wasn't that good. Apple still unsigned, right? What do you think happened? Somehow Raiders contract fell through. Yeah, I mean, I'm for Eli Apple coming back. I would take Eli Apple back. I would take Eli Apple back because Eli Apple wasn't that bad. Eli Apple started to become, a mere shell of himself after that Chicago Bears game. I talked about that in part one, Trevor. I don't know if you just joined us or not, brother, but he wasn't that good. I mean, he wasn't that bad to a point where, I feel like he garnered that much criticism. I mean, it wasn't until he went down on his own late in that Chicago Bears game did Eli Apple start to play bad. At the beginning of the season, played pretty good. Marshawn Lattimore went down. He was the number one primary corner, and he did a good job. He was out there talking smack. He was out there getting physical. He had Julio Jones mad. He had Mike Evans mad. Sound like, and as a guy that played the wide receiver position, I can tell you right now, when cornerbacks get in your head and you talking back to them, they got you. Okay, when you start talking back to them, that's when they got you. So, hey, man, I hated when Bro used to do that safe gesture after incompletion. Yeah, especially when he used to do it when the ball was like overthrown by 10 yards. It had absolutely nothing to do with you, okay? The ball was overthrown by 10 yards and the wide receiver had you beat by what? By 15. You know what I'm saying? So you can't do that kind of stuff. You can't be like doing stuff like that when you getting beat. You know what I'm saying? Because you just got lucky on those plays. TJ, give me your take on our tight end draft pick, Adam Trotman from Dayton. Look, this is my thing, okay, Cross. My honest opinion on Adam Trotman. I may be going out on a limb. I might be blowing his way out of proportion, but I really feel like Adam Trotman can be the second coming of Rob Gronkowski. I'm being dead serious. Looking at this guy, looking at the way he plays, looking at how physical he is. I went back and watched some of this guy's tape. I'm really excited about Adam Trotman. I know a lot of people wondering, like, why the Saints would give up all those draft picks. I'm telling y'all, pending injury, Adam Trotman can be one of the best tight ends in the NFL. Like, real talk. Like, it's really up to him, of course. I mean, you never know. But I'm telling you, from what I've seen, from what this guy's skill set is, from all his abilities, this guy can really, truly be the next Rob Gronkowski. I mean, he's a good blocker. I'm talking about solid blocking. Okay, I'm talking about classic throwback blocking. Okay, and he can catch the football. And he runs routes almost similar to like a wide receiver or something like that. And he has a big body. He catches passes over, players. He's not afraid to go up and get it, and he's extremely tough. I'm telling you right now. Like, it's really up to him. Like I said, you guys have to be dialed in. The light has to come on. But looking at his skill set, looking at his abilities, I'm really excited about it. And Josh Hill is in trouble. I'm telling you, Josh Hill is in trouble. I hope you guys don't go back into hiding when you realize the Kings of the South is back. Go Bucks, Skull Game. Real Talk Perez, thank you so much, man, for your comment. First off, I don't think the Saints fans ever been in hiding. You can see a Saints fan out when they were 5-11, but I can't say the same thing for the Bucks fans. I've been doing the State of the Saints podcast going on about 3 years, and I must say, man, I have rarely seen some Bucks fans come through the spot talking noise. Okay, I have not seen that. So it makes me question the allegiance and the love that you all have for your team. It just seems like you're grandstanding right now. Okay, that's what it seems like. It seems like you're grandstanding. But I do want to say this, man. There's an old saying that you want to keep your words soft and sweet because you might have to end up eating them later. Your team looks good on paper, but there were so many other teams that look good on paper. Let me go ahead and break it down for you. The Los Angeles Rams a couple years ago looked good on paper. The Philadelphia Eagles, when they had Michael Vick and Vince Young and Nnamdi Asomugha and Dominique Rodgers-Cromartie, and they had all these other guys on their team, and they called them the Dream Team, and they didn't even make the playoffs. You looked at the Dallas Cowboys when they had T.O. and Tony Romo, and then they had Tank Johnson and all those other players, and Pac-Man Jones, and what happened, man? Absolutely nothing. So you know what that tells me? Unless we're playing Madden, that's the only way that you can just say, oh, the season is over, Tampa is going to win the division. Now, if we're playing Madden, I'll be a little scared. I said that the other day. But you have to play between those lines, all right? You got to play between the lines, man, and nobody cares that Tom Brady is playing. Nobody cares that Rob Gronkowski is playing. The fact is, you guys are going to have to beat the Saints. You're going to have to beat that team and Carolina. And you're going to have to really, show some dominance. Nobody cares what Las Vegas is saying. Nobody cares what DraftKings got to say. Nobody cares what these media people are saying. They gassing y'all up, and that's cool, man. And I'm excited. Like I said, y'all have a lot to cheer for, man. Lord knows y'all didn't have much to cheer about for years. I mean, it's been about 12 years since y'all made the playoffs, if I'm not mistaken. And honestly, man, I get it. When you go all those years of being disappointed, just a little bit of hope makes you really, really excited. But at the end of the day, bro, you can't come on rival team pages talking noise when you done absolutely nothing, man. I mean, you haven't done anything yet. Okay, you haven't done anything except not win the division for years. You have not done anything yet except not go to the playoffs in about 12 years. You have done absolutely nothing yet but whiff in the draft, waste everybody's time, and be in the basement of the NFC South. So until you actually do something on the field, until you actually win the division, until you actually go to the playoffs, and you live up to the expectations, you're basically just grandstanding, my friend. So that's all I got to say. But good luck, man. I'm glad y'all happy. Tom and Gronk got Bucks fans on their high horses. I mean, like I said, they should be excited. They should be happy. But at the end of the day, you got to play between those lines. And like I said, I have not seen a Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Shouts out to my guy DJ Hopkins. We co-host together on NFC South versus NFL. Huge Bucks fan. I get it. I get his excitement. I get Bucks fans' excitement. But don't come on rival team pages when we have not seen you in years. Okay? That is grandstanding like a mug. Like that is grandstanding like none other. Like and it's embarrassing, man. If I go on a rival team page and I talk noise, everybody know that I love my Saints. Okay, I mean I got videos to prove it. I got skins on the wall to prove it. I mean, but when you go on somebody else's page and your jersey looking about as fresh as a springtime daisy, I mean, it's about as red as beets. Okay, it's about. I mean, come on, man. Like, are we serious right now? Like, no washes at all. You know what I'm saying? Like, your jersey has never went through a cool wash cycle in a washing machine, and yet you won't come up here and talk noise. Y'all just went right to the store, or if you're quarantining, you ordered it online, and your jersey just looking so red right now, man. It's looking about as red as a stop sign. It's looking red as a traffic signal. It's looking about red as the blood that Dracula drinks. I mean, it's embarrassing. Like, put some skins on the wall before you start talking. That's all I'm saying. I understand the excitement, but slow your roll. Be excited at home. Be excited with your friend that's a Bucks fan too. Call them on the phone. Hey man, we gonna win a division this year. Yeah, man, I'm ready. But don't come to no other team page, man. Especially a team that especially a franchise whose team won 3 straight NFC South titles. Don't go to the Carolina Panthers page, who won 3 straight NFC championship, NFC South titles, and go to that team page who won 2 in the last decade. So, have not seen y'all nowhere in the vicinity. That's all I'm saying, man. Like, stop it. About 12 to 13 years since they made the playoffs. Why don't we look at HBCUs for players like example Southern University and Grambling? James, I'm going to get back to that one in a second. That's why you're the host of the State of the Saints podcast. Get them. Big time slow the road for the Bucks fans and that team fans. Oh, so that's what we're doing, NFC South titles? We doing NFC South titles because, I mean, we can't do playoff appearances because y'all have not been there. Y'all haven't been there, man. Like, y'all haven't been there in a very long time. And, I like when this the thing right here. I like when people throw shots and then they address the elephant in the room and then they make it seem like it don't matter. Like, you can say, oh, we're talking about NFC South titles. Yes, we are. Okay. We talking about NFC South titles and the fact that you guys have not won one in years. Okay. We're going to talk about that. Regardless if you want to talk about it and address it, you don't have, I get the whole B Rabbit situation. Y'all know on 8 Mile at the end, Eminem basically freestyled on himself so Papa Doc wouldn't have anything to say, so he gave the mic back to Future. It don't matter. You know what I'm saying? You can give the mic back to Future all you want, but the fact is, we already know, what B Rabbit stood. We know that B Rabbit, he lived in a trailer park. We know that Wink messed with his girl. We know all that stuff. It's obvious. No matter if you bring it to our attention or not, the fact of the matter is you guys have not won the NFC South title in years, okay? The Saints are superior to you all, period, okay? The Saints are a better team than you all, period. The Carolina Panthers have been a better team than you all, period. That team has been a better team than you all, period. So at the end of the day, You're coming on a Saints page trying to talk noise and you done absolutely nothing. But I appreciate you saying that the Saints won the NFC title. I appreciate you saying that because they have. And we're excited about that. We're happy that we can say that the Saints have won 3 straight NFC South titles. Can your team say that? I didn't think so. Next. So back to James Jones. Shout out to James, man. Showing love to the HBCUs. Let me take a drink of water real quick. Anyway, HBCUs. The reason why I feel like NFL teams don't really go at HBCUs anymore is because you have a different outlet now. Okay, back in the days, it was HBCUs or it was major college football teams. It was the Alabamas, it was the LSUs, it was the Michigans, it was the Notre Dames, it was the, Syracuse. And teams didn't really, they didn't go after black players. So that's the reason why you have guys that are great HBCU players in the Hall of Fame and some of the all-time greats, because this stupid, ridiculous thing called racism and this whole black people were inferior and they weren't as smart as white players and all that kind of stuff. That's how you have all those greats. Now, today, people aren't really worried about, what a person looks like, rather their color, their creed, as long as they can come in and play. Teams are actually going out here and recruiting these African American players. And even though these players most likely sometimes can't get to a power conference school, they still have like teams like Western Kentucky and Western Michigan and Coastal Carolina. So you have like all of these different schools underneath those power conference schools who still are sending guys to the NFL. And then below that, you have HBCUs who are basically the bottom of the totem pole. And I hate to say it like this because I graduated from HBCU, but it's reality. HBCUs are the last to give money. The alumni association aren't as committed to the universities once they leave the schools, versus these power schools who their alumni gives millions upon millions of dollars. One in particular is one of the guys who graduated from Oklahoma State, one of their boosters. This guy like bought them like a whole new stadium. So HBCUs are getting, the bottom of the totem pole, and they're not as appealing as they once were. So you will probably get, excuse me, you'll probably get like one or two guys from HBCUs to go to the NFL, but it's not going to be at the alarming rate as it was in the 80s or the alarming rate in the 90s or back in the 60s and 70s. You're not going to get that anymore. I wish that we could, but I don't feel like the attention to football really matters as much to a HBCU than it does to a Michigan, a Notre Dame. And that's something that I hated, man. I hated the fact that we don't pay that much attention to football at HBCUs. We care more about the band and halftime. I mean, some people come to the game for the halftime show. That's it. And after that, we'll look up in the stands and half of the crowd will be gone. I mean, I think until like that change and people have a commitment to just the support of football at HBCUs, I think that's going to make it struggle. I think that's where the big struggle is taking place, and I think it's going to continue to be that way. But you're always going to find diamonds in the rough, guys that are going to end up, going to the NFL, maybe undrafted free agents or what have you. But I feel like that's the big issue. I feel like that's something that kind of hurts the growth of the HBCU and being drafted and going pro. James Jones, which players piqued your interest in 2020? Y'all had a Hall of Fame quarterback and got one ring, and now it's over. Y'all know it. Man, I'm not like real talk, Perez. None of that stuff sticking right now, bruh. I think I'm gonna I think I'm gonna go ahead and just pass up on your comments now. Cause you can talk as much noise as you want, man, but still address the fact that your team is not that good and have not been that good. They have not been that good, and it is what it is, man. Like coming here talking like not making you feel superior, and it's definitely not making Saints fans fear you all at all. It just makes it just it just makes it just makes beating you all much, so much satisfying, so satisfying to a point where you all are sitting up here and trust and believe, man. You know the greatest thing about this, we have video. So when you come on here and your team is not as good as you think they are, we can always go back to this and find your name and go ahead and call you out for embarrassing yourself. So like I said, keep your words soft and sweet because you might have to eat them later. Now y'all starting quarterback is our backup. So what does that tell you about your team, son? Man, say we gotta show y'all how I don't even who is that? To motor quarterback in the right way because y'all system trash. T Boone Pickens, Oklahoma State. Yeah, that's his name. That's right. Yep, because SU and Grambling used to kill it. Even produce a few good players, but the entertainment has always been stepping and music. Yep, that's true, man. I mean, if you weren't Greek, you went in a band. Like, if you're in a band and you Greek, you'll have more women than the football players would. You know what I'm saying? Like, for real. Like, nobody really paid attention to football players, man, at HBCUs, man. Nobody paid attention to, they didn't. You know what I'm saying? Like, they ain't pay attention. You Greek, or you in a band, or you a drum major, man, you have so many women. But SU and Grambling used to, they used to have some talent, man. I mean, we got to talk about Neelius Williams. We got to talk about Doug Williams. Man, I mean, so man, was it Mel Blunt? You know what I'm saying? Like the guy from that played for the Steelers all those years. The reason why, they got the 5 yard rule. Like you can't touch a wide receiver to after 5 yards. I mean, they had some talent, man. I mean, Michael Strahan, Jerry Rice, Walter Payton, Deacon Jones. So much talent, man. Uh Stay the Saints. That's the point of all this. Stay tuned. Me and my channel